Hello and welcome. This is the newsroom for today, Thursday, May 27, 2021. We're broadcasting to you on E1, Scar TV, NTN, and Tarsi TV in Barticum. In the headlines, the Chief Justice Roxane George has ordered the release of the 2020 statements of poll and the recount that followed for the police and the DPP to pursue criminal charges against GCOM's Keith Lowenfield and others. Two Brazilian nationals were busted with almost 1,000 pounds of cocaine on board a foreign aircraft at Oriella are remanded to prison. Guyana continues to see an alarming increase in COVID-19 deaths and cases. And in sport, the Guyana Jaguars head coach says being competitive while rebuilding is a difficult task. And the Guyana Olympic Association is hoping for more partnerships with the National Sports Commission. With the news, I'm Neil Marks. We're glad you could join us. Chief Justice Roxane George on Thursday ordered that copies of the statements of poll and statements of recount from the 2020 general and regional elections be handed over to the police and the Director of Public Prosecutions to bolster their criminal case against the Chief Elections Officer Keith Lowenfield and others who are facing charges related to electoral fraud. Kurt Campbell reports.
In her ruling on Thursday, Chief Justice Roxane George denied an application by the Chief Elections Officer Keith Lowenfield to intervene in the case. He was seeking to block the release of the certified copies of the statements of polls and statements of recounts from the March 2, 2020 general and regional elections. In denying the application to intervene, the Chief Justice said Lowenfield has failed to prove that, among other things, he can make a useful contribution to the case without injustice to the other parties. Justice George said Lowenfield did not demonstrate how he would be adversely affected by the granting of orders to utilize the documents for criminal proceedings. Lowenfield is currently before the Georgetown Magistrates Court charged with misconduct in public office in relation to electoral fraud. But the Chief Justice said she does not believe any release of the documents will adversely affect Lowenfield. She said he does not stand to gain nor lose. The Police Commissioner acting Nigel Hoppy and the Director of Public Prosecutions Shalimar Ali Haq had asked the Chief Justice to grant an order instructing the Registrar of the High Court, Suanna Lavelle, to make photocopies of the SOPs and SORs in her possession. The Registrar is also being asked to certify that it is the true copies of the originals. There are a total of 2,339 SOPs and another 2,339 SORs. It was the Chief Justice who, in a January 2021 ruling, ordered that the SOPs and SORs be handed over to the Registrar. The CEO was directed by a court order on January 8, 2021 to deliver the documents to the Supreme Court for safe custody. The Chief Justice said that while Lowenfield has argued that he is the legal custodian of the documents, he cannot prevent a court from ordering the release of the documents, which, as it is no longer in his physical possession. Justice George said that while Lowenfield is the legal custodian, he is so as an agent of GCOM. The Chief Justice said even if the documents were not in the possession of the High Court, a magistrate could have easily ordered the release of the documents without entertaining Lowenfield. She explained that any refusal by him could have easily seen a warrant being issued at the level of the Magistrates Court for the SOPs and SORs. Among those currently before the court are Lowenfield, the Deputy CEO Roxane Myers, and the returning officer for District 4, Claremont Mingo. They are joined in several charges by the chairman of the People's National Congress Reform, Valdo Lawrence, and other party members. Having only served one term in office, the APNU-AFC coalition lost the elections and claimed widespread voter fraud at the polls, but refused to release their copies of the SOPs to prove its claim that it had won the elections. The GCOM SOPs are key to settling the issues that arose after the March 2nd general and regional elections.
Meanwhile, the Chief Justice's ruling was supported by Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Anil Nandlal. In a brief interview with the newsroom from his chambers on Carmichael Street, Georgetown, Nandlal said the ruling was sound in law.
Therefore, the documents, the statements of poll, were always made public. They were always public documents since the night of voting. The refusal, therefore, by the Elections Commission, and in particular the Chief Elections Officer, to disclose those documents to the media, to the political parties, to the stakeholders, and to the public was a decision that was perverted and wrong in principle from the inception. Yes, the chief elections officer has a right in law to keep all election documents for safekeeping. He is the official legal custodian of all election materials. So he's right. But it doesn't mean that he is the exclusive keeper of the documents. Obviously, in appropriate cases, he would have a duty devolving upon him by law to part company with copies of those documents if the law requires their use in another forum.
Two Brazilian nationals who made an emergency landing at Oriala in Region 6 with almost 1,000 pounds of cocaine on board a foreign aircraft were remanded to prison Thursday on charges of illegal entry and trafficking 450 kilograms of cocaine. 65-year-old Salim Nobrega de Alimsir and 30-year-old Andre Pereira appeared at the Springlands Magistrates Court before Magistrate Alex Moore. They both pleaded not guilty to the charges. Police prosecutor Oren Joseph objected to bail, noting that the two accused provided a video to prove that the aircraft belongs to them. On that grounds, the prosecutor noted that the men are a flight risk and may escape if granted bail. It is alleged that on May 20th, last police ranks from the Region 6 Police Division located the foreign aircraft and the two foreign nationals who were in the vicinity and arrested. A thorough search of the aircraft was conducted and a total of 453 packages containing 535.8 kilograms of suspected cocaine were found, along with two global positioning systems, a radio set, 3 mobile smartphones, 2 identification cards, and the aircraft registration documents. The nationals were remanded to prison until June 22, 2021. Alex Garraway, also known as Uncle Alex, was on Thursday found guilty on 2 counts of rape of a 5-year-old child. He was not present in court for the verdict, and so an arrest warrant has been issued. The 22-year-old of Cummings Park, E-Field, Sophia, Georgetown was on trial before Justice Brassington Reynolds at the Demerara High Court for rape and sexual activity with a child who is under the age of 16. The first count alleged that the incident occurred between November 1st, 2018 and April 30th, 2019. The second count alleged that during the same period in question, Garraway engaged in sexual activity with the child by touching her buttocks and performing anal sex. The 12-member jury, after deliberating for almost 2 hours, found Garraway guilty on both counts. The police have been ordered to arrest him and placed him before the court on June 17 for sentencing. Heavy rainfall over a 24-hour period, coupled with the spring tide, resulted in several communities in Region 1, Burima-Waini, being inundated by floodwaters. Mayor of Mabaruma, Chris Fang, on Thursday told the newsroom that the hard-hit areas include Barabina, Husarora Stretch and Lower Kuriabo, along with the main business community, Komaka. He said many persons lost livestock, cash crops and houses were also damaged. One resident from Komaka, Bibi Khan, told this news entity that she woke up on Thursday morning to water in her bedroom. The mayor explained that the town has been in contact with the Civil Defense Commission to get relief supplies to the residents. Meanwhile, several other regions across the country were adversely affected by floodwaters. On Wednesday, Prime Minister Brigadier Retired Mark Phillips and Agriculture Minister Zulfikar Mustafa met with the flood-affected residents from Yakusari, Johanna, Maibikuri and Les Beholden and Blackbush Boulder. He committed to sending a machine to each village to assist with clearing the back drains to help the floodwaters recede. In an address to the nation to mark Guyana's 55th independence anniversary, President Irfan Ali has once again rebuffed Venezuela's claims to Guyana's territory and said that although it has persisted for all of the country's years of independence, he intends to see an end to it. The president said Guyana continues to rely on its friends across the globe to support a peaceful resolution to the border controversy, which is currently before the International Court of Justice. The head of state is confident that the ICJ is the forum where the voice of international law will be heard and justice will be determined. The president urged unity on the matter of protecting Guyana's territorial integrity.
The Venezuelans must understand that we sought no quarrel with them, and we do not do so now. Our only wish is to live in harmony and cooperation with all our neighbors. We hold out a fist, we hold out not a fist of war, but a hand of friendship based on respect for our borders and theirs. But we will not be coward, nor will we be bullied.
Yet ahead on the newsroom, Guyana continues to see an alarming increase in COVID-19 deaths and cases, and City Hall receives $30 million from the government to complete its administrative building. You're watching the newsroom. The Georgetown Mayor and City Council has received $30 million in subvention from the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development. This sum will be for the completion of an administrative building in the compound of City Hall.
We are having a ceremonial handover of a check to the tune of $30 million that will go towards the construction of the continued construction of the admin building in the compound of City Hall. You recall that in 2019 an initial sum was provided to City Hall by the Ministry of $65 million. That work has gone to the extent where a superstructure has been completed. This is part of government's commitment to support the construction of the admin building. The President himself, in a meeting with the Ministers of Local Government and Regional Development, as well as the Mayor and Deputy Mayor and the Minister of Finance, agreed that 30 million will go towards the government will support 30 million towards the construction of the admin building, and City Hall has committed to put an additional $50 million during the course of this year. We expect that the resources are going to be used very wisely. We were hopeful that by now the city would have already publicly tendered for this work. Part of the entire support that we'll be providing to the city also includes $100 million that will go towards the restoration of the City Hall building. As you're aware, that is one of the legacy buildings of Georgetown. It is an historic landmark in our country, and it is on the front burner of our government. The President himself has been adamant for us to get the City Hall building restored, and so he has agreed to put $100 million towards it as well. There are many staff who are currently at the City Hall building, and we are hopeful that as soon as the admin building has gotten to a stage where those staff could be accommodated, that the City Hall building, the restoration, will begin.
We were hoping to have that building completed before the end of this year, because at the moment City Hall is really falling apart. And just last Monday, the town clerk was complaining that she didn't want any of the structures fall on her. And I think they have to do some emergency works to prevent that from happening. So I believe that this check is coming at a good time.
Guyana's COVID-19 death toll has been drastically increasing, with this month already recording 77 deaths. And in response to the climbing death toll, Health Minister Dr. Frank Anthony said that the faster more people get vaccinated, the faster the deaths can be prevented. Vishani Raghavir has more.
Vaccination prevents deaths. So vaccination is a way of reducing the burden of disease and also preventing deaths. So if you have more people being vaccinated, it would mean that we would reduce the burden of the COVID-19 infection in Guyana. And that's the reason why we have been saying, and we have been working to achieve herd immunity. Herd immunity really means that you have a substantial portion of your population that is immunized. So if the infection is present, then the infection would be limited in its spread, meaning that it would not affect a lot of people. If you are vaccinated, it would mean that when you're exposed to someone who has the infection, you would not be able to get it, or if you get it, you'll get it in a very mild form. So which means you would not be hospitalized, or you would not end up in the ICU and die from COVID. So vaccination prevents deaths. So the more people that get vaccinated, then the faster we can prevent the deaths that are currently occurring.
That was the Minister of Health, Dr. Frank Anthony. Overall, Guyana has recorded 376 confirmed COVID-19 deaths. The first death was recorded on March 11, 2020. However, since March 4, 2021, there have been 176 deaths, signaling a significant increase in the death toll over a shorter period of time. On Thursday, an additional 2 deaths were recorded. This means that over the past 3 days, 15 deaths were recorded. And for this month alone, there have been 77 deaths. Meanwhile, Guyana started its COVID-19 vaccination rollout on February 11, 2021. On Thursday, the health minister also highlighted that 191,151 people had already received at least one dose of the COVID-19 vaccines. Additionally, 62,610 people have received both their first and second doses of the vaccines. 2 weeks after an individual receives their second dose, they are considered fully vaccinated. Reporting for the newsroom, I am Vishani Raghavir.
Now, in a passionate appeal to citizens on the occasion of Guyana's 55th independence anniversary, President Irfan Ali has urged each and every adult Guyanese to get vaccinated against COVID-19. He said with more than 16,000 already infected with the dreadful coronavirus and sadly more than 360 of them have died, vaccination has become necessary. Kurt Campbell reports.
I plead with all to help stop these deaths. Stop the tears of anguish. Stop the grief. Your government has instituted measures to try to protect every person in Guyana, particularly our elderly and the vulnerable.
That was President Irfan Ali during his independence address to the nation on Tuesday night. Already 12% of Guyana's population have received both doses of the vaccines. The president believes this is a significant accomplishment in a world where less than 1% of people in the developing countries have access to vaccines, and where recent World Health Organization studies suggest that more than 6 million people have died globally. Guyana already purchased thousands of vaccines, with Dr. Ali once again assuring that the government is sparing no expense in ensuring that the country has enough vaccines to cover its full population, 18 and above.
Our objective is to ensure that we can inoculate everyone from this dreadful virus. The length of this battle depends on how soon each of us is fully vaccinated, liberating ourselves to return to a high level of normal life and protecting others from infection.
The president urged all citizens to recognize the value in their own lives and the lives of their family and friends by vaccinating to defeat the coronavirus. While underscoring the government efforts to protect every person in Guyana, particularly the elderly and vulnerable, Dr. Ali said the active participation of all is also required to deploy the protective measure of mask, physical distancing, hand washing, and using sanitizers. For the newsroom, Kurt Campbell.
When the newsroom returns, City Hall is now trying to catch up on its audited financial statements, and President Ali says there will be massive investments in Regions 3 and 4. This is the newsroom. Councillor on the George-Wiltshire City Council, who's also the chairman of the Finance Committee, Oscar Clark, has admitted that there is a backlog of audited financial statements, but affirmed that the council is now trying to catch up. Vishani Raghavir has our story.
There has been a lag in the presentation of statements for auditing, but those we are catching up on that now. I think we're very close to catching up, and I'm sure that by before the end of this year, we will be up to at least up to last year, up to 2020. But we're submitting our statement, our things now, and I think that we're catching up on our backlog of audited statements.
That was City Councillor and Chairman of the Financial Committee of the George-Wiltshire City Council, Oscar Clark, who was responding to recent statements made by President Irfan Ali. On Tuesday, via video statement, President Ali lamented that the council provided no financial statements for 10 years, and in the other years, the information provided could not be verified. According to President Ali, 2004 was the last year in which an audit was done, and the audit office even indicated via disclaimer that it could not guarantee the accuracy of the information provided. A similar disclaimer was issued in 2005. For the period 2006 to 2011, there were no financial statements submitted, the president said, and from 2012 to 2015, financial statements were submitted, but the information supplied did not allow the auditors to express an opinion. For the years 2016 to 2020, no financial statements were submitted, the president said also. When asked if he saw issues with the financial statements that were prepared, the councillor had this to say.
There are always issue statements, and these have to be, we have to go back and forth with them and be sure that we get them correctly. But unless you can particularize and say what is specifically what we're talking about, I have not been in a position to answer generally.
Meanwhile, Minister of Local Government and Regional Development Nigel Dharamlal highlighted that there is a massive backlog in the submission of audited statements from the City Council.
I hope that the head of the Finance Committee, who is Mr. Clark, is taking note of it. We are very serious about these issues as government. There has been some complaints from the Auditor General's statements that I've read, where City Hall has not been forthcoming in presenting a lot of the verification information towards the conduct of an audit. And I think Mr. Clark has indicated that they will make an effort to get that done, and we look forward to that being done.
Importantly, the minister also noted that the Marin City Council has an annual budget of about $2 billion, and that the government is interested in seeing that this money is well spent. It is for this reason, he contended, audited statements are important. Councillor Clark also highlighted that many of the financial challenges faced by the council were inherited from previous town council administrations, and that the council is now trying to remedy these issues. Reporting for the newsroom, I am Vishani Ragbir.
With the government's national development agenda moving full steam ahead, President Irfan Ali has announced that the government will soon table new legislation to incentivize investment in Regions 3 and 4. The President, during an exclusive interview with the newsroom on Wednesday, touched on Guyana's impending success, particularly in Region 3, Essequibo Islands, West Demerara. This region, President Ali said, will serve as the hub for oil and gas support services for the country's petroleum sector, with spin-offs from manufacturing and industrial development, creating thousands of jobs for Guyanese.
So in Region 3, that is the area that is earmarked for the expansion and the creation of the essential services to support the oil and gas sector. We cannot say that we want the support services to come to Guyana, and then we don't understand that there is there are going to be consequences in relation to the development part. And one such, and I wouldn't say consequence, but one such important decision is to identify the area for shore-based facilities. And we have made it very clear that the west bank of Demerara will be utilized for additional and new shore-based facilities. That also would have to be further developed. We have the new Demerara Harbour Bridge that will be completed within another three years. And then we have to continue the expansion of the shorefront of the Demerara River for the Wales Development Authority. There we are not only planning to have the gas to shore project and a power plant, but also industrial development and manufacturing. These are key and critical investment that will generate jobs, and that really you will see the spin-off of oil and gas. But so to support the development of the new city and what will take place in Region 3, we are going to definitely be tabling two specific legislations that will grant specific investment benefits and incentives for investment in those areas. And that you will see soon, so that there will be no guessing. the investment, the incentive regime will be formalized in terms of investment in those areas.
The Civil Defence Commission on Thursday received a timely donation from Blue Water Shipping to aid flood relief efforts across the country, as several regions are currently inundated due to torrential rainfall over the past few days. The company's manager, Richard Dinobrega, at the simple handing over ceremony at the CDC's headquarters, called on the business community to lend assistance to the hard-hit regions, especially Region 9. Receiving the cheque on behalf of the CDC was the Deputy Director General, Major Loring Benons.
We've all seen the harsh effects the flood has had on the Deep South and the Rupununi, and we're here today to support and pledge our donation to the Civil Defence Commission. You know, we've all seen the work and the good work that they do in support of the relief efforts, and we want to play a small part and you know, do our part in helping the situation there. We think it's very dire, and we urge, you know, the entire business community to support. The Rupununi is one of the most beautiful places in Guyana, and you know, the people there are in a terrible situation right now, and they need our help. So I really support the work here of the Civil Defence Commission, and we look forward to working together with the team here.
This donation is timely. As alluded by Mr. Dinobrega, there is widespread flooding. A number of communities within Guyana are being affected currently by flood waters. Some areas are having unprecedented rainfall that we've never experienced years gone by. The Civil Defence Commission, during this period, of course, do reach out to affected areas with both cleaning hampers and food hampers, because of course most of these areas being farmlands, they tend to be affected severely by these flood waters. Just the subsistence level of the household are being affected. So the Civil Defence Commission, in addition to reaching out to these affected families, communities with cleaning hampers, also reach out with food hampers. So the monetary donation here that we receive here today, of course, will go towards the continuous procurement of flood items, flood cleaning items, to further prepare those hampers to take into those communities.
That's it from me, Neil Marks. On the newsroom returns the financial weather and bridge reports, and Kirk Campbell with sport.
Welcome back to the newsroom. I am Kurt Campbell. Now for a look at what's happening in sport. We start things off with some football news. Head coach of the Guyana national men's football team, Marcio Maximo, says it is a difficult task balancing giving match time to young players with an eye on the future and simultaneously seeking to topple top nations in CONCACAF. Akim Green visited a recent training session and filed this report.
More often than not, an ideology as it regards player resources is built on providing opportunities for the future or scouting the best talent to achieve immediate success. An attempt to do both at the same time could be difficult, more so in Guyana's case, where for varying reasons the Elite League has not been played since May 2019. It means the generic pathway for local scouting and player development is halted. Since the Brazilian Maximo took over from Michael Johnson in August 2019, he has placed tremendous emphasis on exposure for locally based players in the Guyana Jaguars. On this tenure, thus far, Maximo has won 4 matches, lost 3 and drew 1.
It's a very good question. It's not easy, definitely not. But we should try, you know, because for us, I have some experience about this. It's my 5th national team. All of national teams with success. And Guyana want to be different because it's like you say, it's very difficult to renew the team and maintain the competitive level. But in Guyana case, we don't have another option because even the players that did good performance outside, overseas players, also local players are young. So Guyana don't have another option. Guyana should look the present, of course, try represent well, but also don't forget the future. You should maintain this program that you have in Guyana now is foundation for at least 10 years with competitive level. Maybe you don't take the best result that you could this time, but definitively will take good results in short time. I hope now. I hope it will start in the next games.
Those games would be two must-win matches in Group F of the CONCACAF FIFA 2022 World Cup qualifiers. Jaguars are third in the group with 3 points and would need to win their remaining matches to possibly top the group. St. Kitts lead the group with 2 wins from their matches, while TNT are in second with 4 points. Only group winners will advance to the next stage of the qualifiers. The locally based players have been engaged in daily sessions at the National Training Facility at Providence over the past weeks.
Yeah, we are very happy with the intensity of the training, majority of young players. It's very important to say that our final list, 20 players, our final list, they're under 20 that play in Nicaragua. We pick 7 players from that group. There's really good program, and also we option international level for players that train in fully professional system. Majority youngs as well from overseas. I think that is good because ourselves also, of course, a federation, we decide about one line to select overseas players, also our younger players from our youth teams. I think it is a good way and it's a good philosophy for our team and our program. Also maintain the competitive level. I think that is very important. About the games, we are very optimistic as usual because we're still in the race. We have a chance. It's not easy. We need to beat the 2 teams, but we have equal chance in our view. Our team trained very well, like you saw, very intense. Everybody motivation to represent Guyana very well, like we expected.
In the qualifiers, Jaguars lost their first match to Trinidad and Tobago 3-0, but rebounded to beat the Bahamas 4-0 in their second match. Second round action will see Guyana play both of its matches in St. Kitts and Nevis, first of which will be against the host nation on June 4, followed by Puerto Rico on June 8. For the newsroom, Akin Green.
17-year-old forward Omari Glasgow enjoyed a dream debut for the Golden Jaguars against the Bahamas last month, scoring in a memorable 4-0 win. In this video, GFF now interviews the young star about his journey so far with the senior men's national team.
My name is Omari Glasgow. I play for the Guyana national senior team, play left wing. I always dream of scoring for the national senior team at this age. I have my opportunity and I make use of it. In the Trinidad game, I felt a very bit soft because I didn't like the way the team was playing, but in the first half we didn't play as good as we thought we would have. In the second half we stepped up and didn't concede any more goals. It was hard here because it's more competitive, more fast, strong, and the players need thinking more fast because they're playing with senior players, you know what I mean? Different build, the players coming at your heart, so you need to be on your focus. All what's going through my mind is to just extend the goal scoring and just come on with the victory. Everyone was running, coming towards me. By the time I look up, everyone was on me on the ground. It was very emotional for me. And my grandmama, my granddad, my aunt, many of people, but granddad, grandmama, aunt, you know what I mean, Molly was behind me. She just said, you know what the score. You know, they say, you know what the score, they had to trust in me. Well, I feel I have to put more in all the time because the senior guys already know what they want to achieve. I'm young, I'm still going. So I come out here every day and put more and more than everything I feel I could give. I get up in the morning, I run. Afternoon I go do little abs, push up, then I come to training and put in the hard work. I see myself playing in one of the top pro leagues in the world, somewhere in England, across Europe, you know what I mean, that's international football. I feel we are ready to St. Kitts and Puerto Rico because come back on the training ground, we fixing our mistakes now, so just ask the team to go out there and put in work.
The president of the Guyana Olympic Association, K.A. Juman Yassin, is hopeful that the new National Sports Commission Board would be willing to fuse resources for greater investment in sport. Akim Green has more.
The 6 members of the National Sports Commission, the NSC, have been officially appointed by the government of Guyana. The appointments were made on May 20, 2021. The NSC will consist of Kashif Mohammed as the chairman, Beson Diyal Singh, Christy Campbell, Delon Davidson, Philip Finance, and Chitram Ramdiyal. Among the functions of the NSC as listed in the National Sports Commission Act of 1993, the NSC's role is promote sports and its organization by all available methods, including the making of grants. Therefore, provide for the establishment, erection, and maintenance of sporting and other recreation facilities, and advise the Minister on development and promotion of sports generally.
We, when I say we, the GOA, we are willing to work along with them. I have said that if we pool our resources, we can do a lot. If we pool our resources as regards funding for coaches, we would be able to give a coach a very decent salary. So I'm hoping that we could talk to the new Sports Commission with this and other matters.
In Guyana, there is over 30 sport disciplines, of which 23 fall under the GOA. The GOA has been recognized by the International Olympic Committee since 1948. For the Newsroom, Akim Green.
Cricket West Indies hosted the professional cricketers draft for the 2021-2022 season with representatives from all 6 territorial board franchises on Tuesday. Starting July 1st, 2021, a total of 90 professional cricketers will receive a regional retainer contract for the next 12 months. Several teams drafted young emerging players to complete their 15-member squads, while others chose to boost their ranks with more experienced players. The Guyana Jaguars went for the more experienced Guyanese duo of cricket keeper batsman Anthony Bramble and fast bowler Keon Joseph. The Guyana Jaguars' full squad is Kevlin Anderson, Christopher Barnwell, Tej Narayan Chandrapal Hemraj, Shimran Hetmeyer, Leon Johnson, Gudakesh Moti, Kimo Paul, Versami Permal, Romario Shepard, Vishal Singh, Kevin Sinclair, Niall Smith, Anthony Bramble, and Keon Joseph. Chris Gayle, Shakib Al Hassan, and Fuf du Plessis will be playing in the 2021 Hero Carbon Premier League CPL, which takes place in St. Kitts and Nevis from August 28 to September 19. Chris Gayle will be back with St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots, a team he played for in 2017 and 2018. Shakib Al Hassan has joined the Jamaica Talawas for the 2021 season. This will be the second time that the world's leading spin bowler all-rounder has represented the Talawas, having been with the franchise in 2016 and 2017. Fuf du Plessis will be playing for the St. Lucia Zoiks this season. And that brings us to the end of our newscast. Thanks to our news team and technical staff. I'm Kurt Campbell. Take care and remember to stay safe and get vaccinated.